welcome Tatiana Derovanessian from dreamlivingLA, as we will be discussing how to buy a home in today's market, along with some true crime from back in the day. And we're back.
We are.
Well, we took a little break, you know.
Where'd we go?
I don't know. I'm not going to tell. I was in my own zone. So
Zone.
I was in my scope zone, right? Next episode, the Twilight Zone. The
Scofilicious Zone.
Scofilicious Zone. So, yeah, we're back and with Tatiana here from dreamlivingLA. And I think the next topic is what's the current market like?
It's interesting because we were really on an incline, I would say, for the last 3 to 4 years. And so, of course, when sellers typically look at what that has been like and they call me, so I want to sell my house, and I have to have the conversation with them because they're like, my neighbor sold 2 years ago. I go, well, you do know that it changes every single day.
Yeah.
So LA is interesting in that depending on where you're looking to buy or you're wanting to sell, the demand is very different right now. So the sweet spot for buying is between 1.5, and you've got a lot of buyers for that. 800,000 to 1.5, right? So a lot of buyers for that, not enough inventory.
Wow, good to know.
Not enough inventory.
Honey,
so
we're selling.
If anybody is in the 800 to 1.5 in Valley Glen, I have a buyer for you, by the way. I did tell you.
I know.
What is the difference between a townhouse and a condo?
So condo's one level. Townhouses, several. 2, 3, yeah.
Never even knew that.
And typically townhouses will have access to your unit through your garage or a community garage right into your townhouse.
Right.
And a condo, most of the time, you have to like park and come up. But condos are one level.
And what sells better? I mean,
it's really a preference. I mean, if you look at Playa Vista right now, townhouses everywhere because all of the tech, the import of tech people coming and the younger tech people, they're loving that, the lifestyle. It's modern, it's youthful. If you're a family, it's a little harder in the 30 to 45 age
right by
range.
YouTube, it's amazing.
Yeah, they sell very quickly. So it's just a matter of taste, what you want. Some people want one level. They can't do the stairs. So you go for a condo.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll be there when I get to
We'll get you a pimped out walker, Sco.
But going back to the current market, the thing is it depends on the location. So we have an oversat right now. I deal with all levels, all price points, even though people look at my stuff and they're like, I didn't call you because my condo's 800 and I didn't think you would sell it because you're doing these multi-million-dollar properties. I go, I don't discriminate. I take everybody. I run a business.
Exactly.
But just imagine if I'm providing services for $50 million client, you're going to get top-notch service at 800,000, $1 million, because that's how I perform. So depending on the location right now, we do have a shortage of inventory in those price points that I mentioned earlier, and really still a robust market. 2 million to 6 is still doing pretty good.
Wow.
Once you're because we have a lot of cash buyers, and we have so many people in the entertainment industry that are just trading up, trading down. Second homes, vacation homes, those sell no problem with cash. But we also have an oversaturation of the ultra luxury market. I don't know if you've read or have seen these homes that are on the market coming out for 200 million, 250. Oh yeah, 100 million.
I don't even want to, because then I start reevaluating what my life choices have been. And
I suggest the next show is I take you into one of these because it might motivate you in other ways, not what your life choices are.
When we get syndicated, our show and everything, please.
When you have sponsors.
We got our sponsors coming in, like 1-800-Flowers and whoever that might be. We would, then maybe I'll be calling you to go uptown rather than downtown.
Well, it's good. I mean, you might not be aware of it, but they're everywhere and they are sitting. It's because these developers, they're building beautiful, absolutely fascinating homes. Really, they're gorgeous. But the type of people that can afford 100 to 500 million, there's one coming out for 500 million next year. at the top of Bel Air.
What do you do with a $500 million house?
Well, I'll tell you, this is typically a second home for somebody.
Rink in it.
Right? Like, do you leave it? Because what
yeah. No, well, so this developer who's developing the 500 million, he's well known, and he just finished one for 100 million, which is also very beautiful. It's called the Opus, which I've seen. And when it came out, although I thought it was stunning, it's off of Hillcrest in the best part of Beverly Hills. Mm-hmm. I still felt like the house is gorgeous, but it's not really worth 100. But they put it out there because it's a bit of a novelty item, right?
Jesus.
You never know what a billionaire or millionaire is willing to pay for a house unless you try it. That house just got reduced to 77 million.
Just 77 million.
Right. So
you got that, right?
Yeah. Denise, can you get my checkbook?
But these houses, so there's the one that's called the Billionaire also that was just developed a year and a half ago that came out for 250 million, which Jay-Z and Beyonce were looking at but passed. It just got cut to 188 million. And I'm only mentioning this because it's mind-blowing, but it's going to go back to my point. There are only so many people that can buy that kind of home. You have to be a Russian oligarch.
Right.
Or royalty, and the style of the homes that are on the market currently, they're very modern and beautiful. I love them, but those don't typically appeal to certain people from the Emirates, maybe, and oligarchs like other kinds of houses. So it's a handful, maybe two handful of people, groups that can afford a house like that. So we have right now an excess of that. So when you're asking me about the market, see how there's an excess there. There isn't enough in the sweet spot, I call it, 800 to 156. And then from the 2 to the 8, we see a lot.
You talked a couple times about and mentioned foreign buyers.
International.
Yeah, international buyers. And so what's a lot, I've seen shows or other things where they have a lot of all cash deals or international buyers influxing into this market. What is that doing to the current kind of conditions for a real estate buyer?
It's fantastic. I think it's tough.
For you, not for me.
No, well,
actually, it is for me.
You're not competing
for
those people.
Yeah, that's
here,
true.
but he's also not competing for that price point or that against that buyer.
Yeah.
So we are seeing less from China. We were seeing a lot of money coming in from China the last 2-3 years easily. They're having a much harder time bringing the money through to the country. So we're not seeing as many, because I had a very famous property on Franklin Canyon that I sold. I had a lot of influx, like a bus of Chinese buyers that literally rolled up to the house, in addition to the celebrities I was showing it to, and they rolled up with cash, like not in hand, but symbolically in hand, ready to buy. They just had to park it somewhere.
Then they went to Vegas.
You don't see that as much anymore. But I have a lot of international clients. I'm seeing them coming from Vancouver, i.e. my client here who, in Vancouver, the real estate market is really pricey. New York is insane right now. The market is terrible. There's so much inventory in the upper echelon.
Really?
Absolutely.
Honey, we're moving to New York.
No, meaning in the upper echelon, meaning all of these developers
all right, we're coming back home.
To buy, there's a lot of inventory in the multi-million-dollar price range in all of the big skyscraper type of, they're not like the kind of homes you're thinking about. They're like the penthouses and the several, you have to go up those big buildings. New York is very vertical. So for example, this house, just as an example, we're at $690 a square foot. Look how much square footage you're getting, the yard, the views. In New York, for vertical lifestyle, in a building with services, you're at $2,500 a square foot for like 1,800 square feet.
That's nuts.
Wow.
When you compare that luxury market, LA is the better investment.
Yeah, and you have to shovel
what about
snow.
San Francisco?
San Francisco is insane. There was an article recently, I don't know if you guys saw it, on the outskirts of San Francisco, little 500 square foot house was going for, I think it said, if I'm not mistaken, like $1,200 a square foot.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. So yeah, the market is really expensive in San Francisco as well.
When is it going to bust?
We are, the projection, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not going, don't hold me to this, but
Esmeralda right here.
We're 10 years in.
We're seeing,
10 years in. Every
it's a 10-year cycle.
It hits the fan.
Right. So in 2020, we're going to have a bit of a, tick down. What we're seeing is a calibration. I've been seeing it calibrate really, really strong this last year. So you're seeing this flat line, I call it, and that's going to stay flat. Okay. And then in 2020, or 2020, we're definitely going to have a little bit of a decline, but we're not going to have a burst like we did last time.
Right. Right.
So that's the market. Wow. It's kind of disparate. It's really interesting. Depending on where you're looking, you'll go in certain areas and there's an influx. Like on this street alone, Avenida del Sol, there's like 5 houses on the market here.
Wow. I saw that
from
up.
Right, from 1.6, excuse me, from 1.2 to we're at actually to 4.8 right up the street. There's a house. So on the same street.
So you were talking earlier about, we were talking about the renters, and people are just essentially wasting money. They get no return on that money by paying someone else to rent. For someone who's spending, let's say, $2,000 to $3,000 a month in rent, what do they need to have to be financially ready to purchase, an entry point into the housing market?
Number one, come talk to me. You need a game plan. Most
That's
people,
great.
Most people are a little overwhelmed. If you're a new buyer, young couple, the biggest challenge is the down payment.
Right.
They're actually making enough money. I mean, we have young professionals now, and almost everybody's making a pretty good salary. The employment is pretty good. I see it's very strong. And when they're telling me they're renting, how much are you paying on rent? It's at least $4,000, if not $3,500 to $4,000. Money is so cheap. You can get a mortgage, pay 4 or 4.25 on your money, but the down payment's a challenge because you have to come up with $100,000 maybe. So they need to come talk to me. We sit with a lender and put a game plan together so that they can have an action plan moving forward on how to get it all going. So when they're ready, they're not going to be falling behind because it's a competitive market as well. Everything here in LA is going to have 2-3 offers on it. Yeah, we were on an upward trajectory, very fast pace. We're flatlined now, so it's calibrated, and it's going to kind of go down.
But based on the loans that are going out now, is there a little more credibility behind it, so it's not going to just bottom out the same way?
Well, when it bottomed out, the process to get a loan was so stringent.
Right.
My clients were going through like blood samples, hair sample. It was, I'm telling you, they would call me crying.
They wouldn't be able to give me one.
Was real true crime.
It was really bad.
They couldn't give us a loan, no hair samples.
Exactly.
But that has loosened up.
Looking good.
It's loosened up the last, year and a half, but prior to that, the last 6 years, it was really, really tough. They asked for everything, and people were having a hard time with it. So no, they're vetting you out, and they're doing their jobs well. They're not handing money freely anymore, but money is cheap. So for young professionals and buyers that are looking to buy, they're overwhelmed because they have no idea. They're not empowered with the knowledge for the game plan, and that's pre-production is the most important for your production to go well. Right?
Yeah. I mean, you're doing a
You have to prep. So we have to sit down and prep it out, and then you'll know your game plan, and you as a buyer will feel more empowered. You know exactly what to do, how to get it, when your timing is ready, time to look while you're getting your finances in order.
I mean, even if you can't buy, let's say if it gets down to it, at least you know what you have to clean up and do a year later.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I think that's...
knowledge is power.
Yeah, knowledge is power. Exactly. So, well, that's fantastic. I mean, what are you thinking?
I know we talk a lot of true crime on our show.
We do.
And, there's a few things that I think are interesting that bleed into real estate. Like, have you ever sold a house that, maybe like a murder or some sort of famous, maybe person was from that was involved in true crime?
We actually talked about this the other day.
We did.
So I hadn't had that until recently. A really great client of mine, a young entrepreneur, had an awesome place in Beverly Hills on Easton Drive. So I sold it in literally 10 days. I had 7 offers, but there were so many people coming into the house, and it was multiple levels. An individual house, but multiple levels in Beverly Hills. And when you got to the second level and you looked across the street, it kind of looked like a sordid environment. And it was kind of a weird it looked like a haunted house. And I would be up on the second floor looking at that house, and I called my client because so many people were walking in there, buyers, like, what's the story there? Maybe it was the energy that was flowing over. So I called my client. I'm like, what's the story there? And he's like, oh, that was the house that Sharon Tate and her previous boyfriend, I think his name is Jay Sebring, he purchased the house on Easton. It's a very, very famous house. It was previously owned by a producer from MGM who was married to Jean Harlow.
Wow.
And he committed suicide in that house. So that goes way back. And then he sold it to Jay Sebring, who was with Sharon Tate at the time. And that's where the Manson family came and grabbed her from the house.
Wow.
I don't think I'd be buying that house.
No, I think that house needs to be demolished.
Yeah.
All the dirt
the
needs to be dug up.
crime did not happen in the house. She didn't get
that's true.
murdered there,
That's true.
but they came. But it is kind of spooky.
There's a
so,
suicide. There's someone that been grabbed. I think it's time to
it's like, get out.
Get like a witch doctor to like sprinkle some sage everywhere.
Well, it's been some years, and some people don't care, you know. But if people ask, we have to legally disclose if we know or have been told anything about the existing property we're selling or the neighborhood.
Right.
If a client asks, we have to tell them. What
does that typically do to the market then? It's like
one person asked me and was like, "That is so cool." They put an offer. They loved it because
now they got a talking point.
It's a piece of history,
right?
So there's a little value. It didn't happen in the house he's buying. It was across the street.
Right.
So it was a cool cultural, you know, historical thing for him.
Right, which, I mean, while we were prepping for this, actually, for our show, Zach, our producer, brought up Trent Reznor?
Yeah, Trent Reznor lived in the house where Sharon Tate was actually murdered. And he was the last person to live in that house before they demolished it. And when he left, he asked the owner, he was renting it, he's doing the downward spiral, and he actually met Sharon Tate's sister, who said, "Are you exploiting my sister's death by living in this house and making this album?" And it kind of woke him up to the fact that it wasn't just a crazy story, that it was actually, this was somebody's family, this was actually a huge tragedy. So he decided it was too much emotional baggage, and he left the house, but he took the front door with him and placed the front door in New Orleans at his studio in New Orleans. And then they demolished the house, which is in like the early 90s. But
wow.
Well, he is dark, and I do love his music, but I mean, he's always ahead of the game. So there you have it, right?
And very interesting.
Very interesting.
The spirits there are similar to the other house, where it just kind of resonates through.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't think people really. I guess you go one way. Oh my God, I cannot even begin to buy this house, or it's like, oh my God, that's so cool. I got to buy this house, because every time my guests come over, then it's like, oh my God.
Talking point. Like,
it's
oh my God, you know what happened there?
Exactly.
I know, like OJ's house in Brentwood.
Yeah.
When he had to sell it due to the lawsuit against him and everything, the new owner demolished it, built higher walls so people couldn't look in because it was so famous, but didn't want anything to do with the actual house itself. And
then where the actual killing went down in Nicole Brown, and that they had bought that condo for like, I think it was 6 something, right? That I read, and then all of a sudden it sat after the murder and everything. It sat, and then it went for 5 something, and then it just went not long ago. It went for like 1.6 million.
Wow.
But it sat on the market forever. They had to change it up, and I mean, it's
you must. You've got to take out. You can't. It's hard when you leave it looking the same way and with the rooted history. It would be better served to bring it all down and rebuild something new.
And don't they often like change the address to
some of them
for them? I think there was another one that happened in Hollywood where they had to do something like that to change the address because too many people.
The Menendez brothers, right?
Yeah.
So they actually changed the address, and you got to go through the post office, and I mean
the city, not only the post office. You have to go to the city and make sure that you can actually get a new address, and can you get that specific address because it's numeric, right?
Right.
All right. Well, that's it, Tatiana. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me and allowing me to share my time with you and my story. I love it. It was great.
Thank you. Why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you?
Well, you can reach me at dreamlivingLA.com. Just look it up. It's really easy. If you have any kind of questions or any real estate related services, Tatiana Derovanessian at dreamlivingLA.com.
Awesome.
I think you're going to need to spell that last name. I don't.
DREAMLIVING LA.com.
All right. That's it. I'm out.
I'm out too.
Later.